Hey there, welcome back to Tips Over Tea. This is Nicole, your host. I am so excited to introduce you to Jenn today. We are going to be talking about reconnecting with your higher self in order to heal from trauma. Of course, this is not a mainstream way of healing from trauma, which is why I'm excited to talk about this because I'm always looking to share holistic ways of healing and letting someone have the opportunity to figure out how they can become their best selves in a most natural way possible. So if this sounds interesting, intriguing to you, go ahead and grab your tea, grab a friend, grab a notebook, and listen in. We'll see you soon. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Tips Over Tea. I'm so excited to have Jenn on the show with us today. Jenn, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Nikki. I'm so happy to be here.
You're welcome. So we were saying what you do is you help people really reconnect with their higher self so they can heal trauma. What does it mean? Can you explain what higher self means a little bit for someone who may just be hearing that for the first time?
Sure. So, your higher self is your soul self. So, in our human bodies, we hold duality in every place but our heart, right? So, we have 7 human chakras. We have more than 7, but 7 earthly chakras, I'll call it. And the one place that is all love is our heart. So most of the time we're thinking through our third eye, our head, and that's the back and forth, the yes or no, the wrong or right. So when we're thinking directly from the heart, there's no duality. That is your soul self. That is your higher self. It's your 5D. If anybody doesn't know, like we were living in for 2,160 years, a 3D, fear before faith, a money construct, power construct. And last year, December 2020, we went into the age of Aquarius, which is all about love, unity, justice, all positive things to come. And even though it's hard to see that with everything going on, it's where the world is going. And that's heart-centered consciousness. So that is your soul self. That is your higher self. So when you're connecting to your higher self, I do it through a sound bowl. So I'm very connected to sound and solfeggio frequencies. With solfege is the original music notes. So do, re, mi, fa, sol, those sounds are the solfege scale. So solfeggio tones heal your body. There's different ones for different chakras. And I use a 528 bowl, singing bowl, which resonates with the heart. And we connect with your higher self, your soul self. 95%, the best way to explain it is 95% of our memories, everything we have, 95% of us is subconscious. That's the best way to explain it. So only 5% of the things we do are conscious. So learning to walk, learning to talk, all those things, they're subconscious. So that's where our traumas lie, in our subconscious. So in order to connect to them, to heal what's going on in our current life, the things that are holding us back, the things that we're struggling with, we don't understand why we're struggling. We're like, why is this so hard for me to do? Why is this such an obstacle where someone else can do it so easily, but it's such an obstacle for me? It's because somewhere in your life, you had something happen to you that rode on the same vibration and you never cleared it. So we go back into those traumas that are riding on the same vibration as what you're currently going through. You heal that so you can heal to be better for who you are today. So it's never about going back and actually, you'll feel the trauma, you'll go through the trauma with me, we go back into that event, but it's not about the reliving of it, it's about the clearing of it so that today you're better off. Today you can do the things that felt like an obstacle yesterday. So it's really you've done it with me, it's a beautiful path. It's really nice and it's very intense when you do it, and it's definitely going back into that trauma is not, the best feeling, but if we don't clear it, then it always is an obstacle in this current life.
Yeah.
So, we want to heal stuff from our past. We want to heal stuff from our childhood.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And what I can appreciate is that you point out that it's a lot to do with your subconscious, and you feel like you're stuck, and you feel like it's something you're doing wrong, and it's not necessarily something that you're doing, is something that you haven't addressed yet. And so that's when they would come and see you for something like that. How do people, at what point does one know, um, that we need to come to see you, to work with you, as opposed to, oh, I just need to try harder? Like, do people just, does it get to a point where it's like, I can't do this anymore, there's something else, I need more help? Or how do people know to come to you?
Well, usually people find me from word of mouth. That's
Mhm.
how they usually find me, where they have maybe gone to, I always think, listen, I've done therapy, so I think therapy is great too. So I always think, I think your little slots of being helped are all good. So keep and continue to do that. Um, but I've had people come to me where they've been active in something like that, but they still haven't addressed the issues, and they see there's still, it's really when you see the repetitive patterns that you're going into something and you can't seem to just get over that hurdle. You can't seem to get over it. They'll Someone will recommend me and say, "Oh, I worked with this woman for 4 weeks, and it was great, and I no longer feel that anxiety. I no longer feel that fear." We hold different things in different places. I no longer overthink things. I no longer hold on to the trauma I did as a child. So people will recommend me, and then they come to me, and I'd like to do a 4-week program.
Mhm.
So we work together for 4 weeks, sometimes longer. Sometimes I have people that stay with me for longer. And we go through whatever you're currently going through that's riding on that same vibration. So they can call me that day. We get on a Zoom, and they can say, "I need a sip before I lose my voice." They can say to me, sorry about that.
Mhm.
They can say to me, sorry. I don't know why I'm losing my voice all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So they can say to me, um, "I'm going for a job interview and I'm really struggling. I don't think I'm going to do okay with it." So we'll ask for their higher self for 3 traumas that are currently riding on that same vibration, that to face the fear of them going in front of someone and being in their personal power. Why are they not feeling in their personal power? What has happened in their life? And listen, the most random things come up. It has nothing to do with the job interview. It is nothing along the lines. It could be of the 5-year-old self that tried to stand up for themselves with their parent, and we walk into that situation, and we kind of relive that situation to say, okay, what can we say now to change this, to clear it? We have a billion timelines going on at the same time. So you can vacillate from timelines. Sometimes you're on your highest timeline, sometimes you're mad and you're on your lowest timeline. So we vacillate in and out of that. It's the scenario of leaving your keys on the counter when you get home from work the night before, and you're probably extremely tired. It's been a rough day. You leave the keys, and then you wake up in the morning and you're super refreshed and you're on your highest timeline, and you're just happy to be up and you're showered, and you go to look for those keys, and they're not in the place that you left them the night before. But then you start looking around your house, you start getting frustrated. You're like, I have to go to work. Where are my keys? And you lower yourself back down to that timeline, and then all of a sudden the keys are there. So the keys aren't missing. They've always been there, but they were in a different timeline. So
That's
it's hard for people, like, if you don't do the stuff. It's definitely, when I first heard it, I was like, no. And then my husband and I started kind of experiencing it, and we were like, wow, like, it really does work that way. You really do have more than one scenario going on at the same time. That's the reason we could connect to things that happened in early childhood and other times, because they're just other timelines. So you think it's the past, but there really is no past. Everything is parallel. So we
Mhm.
can go back to that parallel timeline. We could heal that. So you become your highest best self. So it's a beautiful, I love doing it. So
Yeah,
it's very fulfilling to me.
I love it. Yeah, it's being able to see someone overcome a traumatic event and just excel and live their best life, or live their higher in a higher state, is amazing. It's also really confusing to to understand, because it's just it. because it's not in their back.
Totally.
They're going to just hang out with us.
I think that's why my voice started going in and out. I was like, okay.
Understanding that is hard because it's not tangible, right? It's like it's just like you just have to know it, feel it. It's just so it's so intriguing to me.
I think we are, as humans, we're so constructed, right? Like we're so like regimented in what we know. We're like, this is how it has to be because this is what we were taught. So you kind of, when you get into this work and you make the decision to work with someone in your field, my field, you have to really let all that go and say, okay, this isn't stuff I've done before. I'm not even sure how I feel about it, but nothing else has worked. So I'm going to try it. So, and that's how I feel like you have to go into something like this. You have to trust in your soul, in your heart. You have to trust in your heart that you've done the regular things, right? The regimented, the things that everybody else has told you, okay, this is what you do if you have something. And then you try something a little more holistic, a little more, woo woo, if you want to call it, more. But when you start to, like I said, when we first, years ago, when I started doing this and learning about it, I always knew as a kid that I was gifted because I would finish my friend's sentences and I would have these, very lucid dreams and, premonition like dreams. But my friends were like, it was the 1980s. They were like, you're weird. Like, don't do that. So when I was like, I would say around 14, I let that all go because no one around me wanted anything to do with it. So I didn't even go to that side of me again until 7 years ago. So I really let that side go. And of course, in those in-between years, there was a lot of premonition things that happened, but I would chalk it up to that one time and, be like, okay. And I'd still not like kind of accept that part of me. And the truth is we are all intuitive. No one is, we're not out here like, okay, this is what we can do. We can all hone into this side of us. Some of us choose to, some of us choose not to.
Yeah. I love that. That's it's one of the things that I like to invite clients to, like, really just listen to their I got nothing. listen to themselves. For those of you who are watching us now or catch this later, you hear that what sounds like typing. We just go on with it because whoever it is just likes to join me and Jen because it doesn't happen with any of my other interviews.
It happened last time when we tried this too. So today we're just going with it. And my throat thing, when I start to not be able to talk, is usually someone needing to speak their truth. So that started happening during that. So I'm presuming it was whoever needs to come through.
Well, if something needs to come through, we're happy to help support. But I do like to invite my clients to really start to really hone in onto their intuition because I know it's a very strong, and it's something you can trust once you learn how to trust it and then make it right. And I love how you were talking about how your husband and you just came into that awareness of the timelines. I would have never thought that. I don't think I've ever heard that perspective. Like you get back down and that's where your keys, because of where you were. And what's funny about that is, how we talk about we attract who we are. Like the energy that you have is going to attract that same type of energy. Is that the same kind of concept as well with
Yeah, exactly. So wherever you are that day, like if you're feeling really low and you're leaving the house and you're going somewhere, and maybe you're going to a grocery store, and then the person that's ringing you up or something is kind of like rude, kind of nasty, and you're just like, you get into that almost victimhood, right? You're like, well, what did I do? Why was that person so nasty? But then you leave and you kind of look at it from a different aspect. You're like, well, I'm kind of in a bad mood today. And is that the energy I was putting out? So that's what I received. And then the other scenario is you wake up, you're refreshed, you go in the morning to the grocery store and you have like the nicest person in the whole world, right? They're like, how was your weekend? They really want to know, right? Especially in the South, they really want to know when you're at a grocery store how your weekend was. So you you really, when they say you get what you give and you give what you get, like there's no truer statement than that. So listen, I vacillate through stuff. Just because I do this for a living doesn't mean I don't get upset in it. I do. I get in those lower timelines. I get annoyed about stuff, but I'm definitely able to pull myself out faster, knowing how it works. Knowing I no longer sit in it. I no longer sit when something happens, because I know that doesn't help. Present is all that exists, right? Past doesn't exist, future doesn't exist. We're in the present moment. So regardless of the situation, no matter how bad it is, if we go somewhere else with it, go back to what could have been, or go what if this happens, we're not living in our moment anymore.
Yeah. And being present doesn't negate how you're feeling. It just acknowledges it and is making a decision to not stay there. Right.
Oh yeah. I'm all about going back into whatever has happened to you. I feel like wiping it away when, I know that whole, like a lot of like, what do they call it? Like in this industry, like toxic positivity, when people are like, on my page, like on my Instagram, I do keep it positive but you'll notice there'll be days that I'll write in a row, and then there'll be a few days I don't write. And I don't write because I'm not feeling it. Like if I don't feel it, I don't fake it. So I do keep it positive because I know other people need to see that. So, I don't choose to share everything that goes on with me. That's a person's choice. Some people are very vulnerable, share everything. For me, I share some. I don't share all. I share a lot of my story, but I don't share it all. But I think it's important to work through what you went through. It's super important. So being toxically positive, like whatever they call it, having that toxic positivity isn't good because it's not real. You're not really going and diving deep in. So I think it's important to go to those traumas, but I think it's important to go into them, clear them, go through them, but not sit in them. That's what we tend to do. That's where victimhood mentality comes in. We, as humans, we will use that excuse of what happened to us when we were 5 years old for the rest of our lives, because that's what we were taught is right. So we sit in it and we're like, well, this happened to us and this happened to, and that sucks. It sucks that happened to you. I want to help you through that, but I certainly don't want it to be affecting the 45-year-old you.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that is, and it sometimes can be a hard pill to swallow for people. They get to, it's like taking responsibility for yourself, your emotions, your thoughts, because there's not always someone there who could help you talk yourself through that stuff. So learning how to do it yourself, and one of the best ways is to actually heal what it is that is creating that victim mentality. So I appreciate that you help people clear that, because
Me too. Me too. Listen, my husband and I have been through a lot, especially my husband. And if we sat in that our whole lives, like, traumatic things happen. I mean, life is a bitch sometimes, right? I mean, like, sometimes it sucks.
Yeah.
But you're here. You're still fighting through it. You're working through it. You're doing it, and you're here for a reason. You're here to live it. You're not here to sit in it.
Yeah.
And that breaks my heart when I see people like that. That you're like, no, you still have so much to give. Even all the stuff you've been through, you still have so much to offer yourself and others.
I'd say because someone's been through a lot, that's like an even bigger reason they have so much to offer and give. Because
Agreed.
their story, like they've had to do these things to overcome that stuff, and so they can be an inspiration to someone else who's going through a lot of stuff too. Yeah.
Listen, my husband and I owned a clothing website before I did this stuff. We had a very different life before everything changed for us. And I never knew, if you talk to my 20-year-old self, I would have never thought I was going to do anything else besides clothing and style. I was a stylist. Never thought I was going to do anything besides that. But life changes, and helping others. I was always like, when we owned a clothing line, I would do a lot of personal personal shopping to people. So I'd pack a suitcase, I'd go to someone's house. I did a lot of individual high-end clients. So I was always had that kind of healing in me, because of course you get very personal, you have that one-on-one, you're talking about personal things. So that was always part of what I was doing. Even when I was doing that, it's like the bartender that,
Yeah.
that gets the whole life story.
Yeah.
So it was definitely always part of my business, even though it had nothing to do with it. But when I started to do this after everything changed 7 years ago, it just filled my heart. Like, it just filled my heart. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing that I'm able to help people. And when I see people, maybe their relationship is severed and then it comes back together, or they're not speaking to their parent, and then they call me and they're like, I was able to work through it and I'm speaking to my parent now. Like, that warms my heart, because you deserve that. Because in the end, it's always you, right? It's no one else. The story's always ours. So the people that are in our lives, our families, our friends, there are, like, it's like a movie, and there are characters, right? We produced the movie, right? We produced and directed it. So it's our movie, and we chose them to be there. And for it to be better, it's always going to be better for us, and that's what counts. It's never about anybody else in the story. It's about us. Like, what's going to make us feel fulfilled every day? What's going to make us feel best every day?
Yeah. And having that, being able to do something that makes us fulfilled, whatever, it enables us to serve the people around us better. They get the better version of us.
100%.
Right. Or we can recognize when we're not at our higher self, and we can not bring that to the people in our lives, right? Like, we can just take a moment to bring ourselves up before we engage with other people, because you don't want to spread when you're in that lower vibration, or that lower timeline.
You know what I try to do for clients, this is my personal thing, is I try not to eat, because digestion takes a lot of energy. So I don't eat, like I didn't eat even before this. So I try not to put anything solid in my body before I work with clients. Sometimes it's hard, because sometimes I have a lot of Los Angeles clients, so sometimes it's a little later in the day. So then I'll just make sure for a few hours. I feel like that kind of aligns me more to my higher self, because food takes a lot out of your energy. So that's a tip for me to someone else doing the work, is I feel like if you kind of just stay on liquids for a few hours before you work for someone, you really come from a higher, it's not as easily to fall into that being in a bad mood if you're not overworking. Because if you're working on digestion, which takes a lot of our energy, you're not working on like what you're feeling inside, what's going on with you. And then if you have to hop on with a client, it's hard. Or the second thing, right, is you can always change an appointment if it's really bad. You can.
I love that. So would you say a client it would be better if they came to you, like, prepare for their appointment in that way as well? Just have maybe some herbal tea or water or something.
Yeah, I always tell them to have water on them. It depends. I don't like to give too many, especially people that haven't done this before. I feel like it makes them like, why am I not eating? I don't like to put too many questions. My really regimen is, do you have water on you? Like I said, you've done it with me. Like, just having water next to you, a comfortable place to lay, because it is emotional. So you don't really want to be in a desk chair. You don't want to be, on occasion I've had people do it, and then afterwards they were like, oh yeah, I should have been like on a couch or something. I'm like, yeah, it's heavy. You're clearing heavy stuff. I always tell them I kind of tell them to keep that whole day open, because I said, you're fine now. Like, we've cleared that energy, but if there's anything else on that vibration that needs to come up today, it's going to come up. So your ebb and flow of today will kind of be like this. It'll be going like this. So if you have crying spurts or anything like that, it's okay. Just let it go through. You'll wake up fine in the morning. So, and I always check in, like I check in after, like, are you okay? Everything good? How are you feeling? And yeah, I mean, I just feel like water is the most important, and a comfortable place to lay, and comfortable clothes. So you can deal with your emotions. I don't want anything, clothes to me are restricting. So like, put on sweats, put on something comfortable, so that you feel anything that's freeing, that's going to let the energy out, is That's my rule of thumb.
Get comfortable, have water. Let's do this.
Yes, exactly.
I love it. So interestingly, well, not interestingly, this happens all the time. 25 minutes or so goes by really quick. I always, around this time, I like to give you the opportunity to just share like how, and it'll be in the description as well, but just share how people can get in touch with you. I know it's mostly referral based, but this could be the referral. So, and if you have any like workshops, I think at one time you were doing, you did the 5D consciousness workshop or something, right?
Oh
So
yeah, I did that with Jen. Yeah, we did that together.
yeah. So if you have anything, any workshops coming up, feel free to share that as well.
Yeah, I do a 4-week program, and I do a 4-week program as far as transformation healing, and I also do a 4-week program where you could work with me to hone in on your intuition and do everything that you wanted to like that. I'm a color intuitive. That's specifically, I see people in color, so we work a lot with color. So I love doing that. So we do that also for 4 weeks. So you can find me on Instagram under multidimensional Jenn, and my link is right there. So you can go to my link, and there's a bunch to choose from. I do sound healings, all kinds of good stuff to make you feel better. So I really appreciate you having me here today, Nikki.
Yeah, it's been good. It's a learning. I'm sure there's a lot more questions that we can ask, but time goes by so quick. Do you happen to have, are you able to play bowl like while we're here for the last couple minutes?
Yeah,
I know
just
I didn't ask you that before.
Yeah, give me 1 second. I'll grab
Yeah.
it.
Me and my randomness, right?
Okay.
I love it.
I
Absolutely.
can tell you there's definitely someone in here with us, because I don't know if you heard that,
I
but
did.
the energy was so strong. We hear you, we see you, we know you're here.
Yes. I love it.
Oh. Okay, as I almost dropped my tea on the couch.
Oh no.
Thank you so much again for having me. This was beautiful.
I am so glad. I really appreciate you sharing your gift and stepping into something you suppressed at one time because, yeah, woo woo kind of scared
No
people.
more.
Right?
I'm all about the woo woo.
Yes. So Thank you for doing what you do, and thank you so much for being here and being willing to share with anyone who
Thank
pops
you.
in. Yeah, you're welcome. So, everyone, thank you for those who are catching us live, and thank you for those who happen upon this a little later. We really appreciate that. Share this with anyone who you think could benefit from working with Jenn. She is really a beautiful soul. She really does want to see you be your best self. So, with that, we'll see you next time. Ciao, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks again for tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, and click the bell so you'll be notified anytime we upload a new video or go live. And as always, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to post it in the comments. We're always checking that. In the meantime, have a great rest of your day.